Have you ever stopped to consider why a tiny, green, nearly 1,000-year-old being, who speaks in a peculiar way and lives in a swamp, has touched the hearts of millions worldwide? Why do his words still resonate in our minds decades after we first watched Star Wars? The answer lies in the timeless wisdom Yoda carries, a wisdom that transcends fiction and offers us a roadmap to a fuller, more conscious and meaningful life. Today you'll discover that behind those pointed ears and that distinctive voice lies a master who can completely transform how you perceive your days, your challenges, and your purpose in this world. Introduction. Welcome to an extraordinary journey through the wisdom of one of pop culture's most iconic characters. In this video, we'll delve into the depths of Yoda's teachings to extract 30 powerful lessons that can revolutionize your daily life. This isn't just about memorable movie quotes. We're talking about universal principles that can guide your decisions, strengthen your mind, and awaken the best in you. Throughout this journey, you'll discover how to apply Jedi wisdom to real-life situations. From the moment you wake up to bedtime, from work challenges to the most intimate relationships, each lesson we share has been carefully selected to offer not only inspiration, but practical tools to transform your daily perspective and actions. Prepare for an experience that goes far beyond entertainment. You're about to discover how the Force, that universal energy that connects all things, can be understood and applied in your real life, bringing more clarity, purpose, and serenity to every moment you live. Lesson 1. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. This is perhaps one of the most fundamental lessons Yoda teaches us. Fear isn't just a fleeting emotion. It's the gateway to a cascade of destructive feelings that can dominate our lives. When we let fear drive our decisions, we begin to build a mental prison where anxiety, rage, and despair become our constant companions. Practically, this means you need to recognize when fear is influencing your choices. Are you avoiding that difficult conversation for fear of rejection? Are you staying in a job that doesn't fulfill you for fear of the unknown? Are you holding back your feelings for fear of vulnerability? Every time we succumb to fear, we fuel a cycle that distances us from the person we truly can be. Yoda's wisdom invites us to observe our fears with compassion, but not with submission. Acknowledge them, understand them, but don't let them captain your ship. When you act despite fear, not because you don't feel it, but because you choose not to be ruled by it, you're stepping onto the path of true freedom. Lesson 2. Do or do not. There is no try. How many times have you said, "I'll try," when someone asked for something important? Yoda teaches us that trying is often a subtle way of already accepting the possibility of failure. It's like reserving an escape route, a ready excuse for when things don't go as planned. This lesson isn't about arrogance or ignoring the reality of obstacles. It's about the quality of intention and commitment you put into your actions. When you decide to do, you mobilize all your energy, resources, and creativity toward that goal. When you decide to try, a part of you is already preparing for failure. Notice how this manifests in your daily life. Instead of saying, "I'll try to wake up earlier," say, "I will wake up earlier," and take the necessary steps to make it happen. Instead of, "I'll try to be more patient," commit to, "I will be more patient," and develop concrete strategies to cultivate that quality. The difference lies in the energy you invest. When you do, you are fully present and engaged. When you try, part of you is already shirking full responsibility for the outcome. Lesson 3. Patience you must have, my young Padawan. In a world that values speed and instant gratification, patience has become almost a lost virtue. Yoda reminds us that true mastery, in any area of life, requires time, dedication, and above all, patience with yourself and the process. Patience isn't passivity. It's not sitting and waiting for things to magically happen. True patience is an active form of wisdom that recognizes that all things have their natural time to mature. It's like nurturing a plant. You water it, provide light, protect it, but you can't force its growth. Apply this lesson to your relationships. Instead of expecting people to change overnight, practice the loving patience that allows them to grow at their own pace. Apply it to your professional projects. Build consistently, day after day, without expecting immediate results. Apply it to your personal growth. Celebrate small progress instead of getting frustrated for not having reached where you want to be. Patience is the wisdom of understanding that everything worthwhile in life is built brick by brick, moment by moment, choice by choice. Lesson 4. Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. This lesson touches the heart of our deepest identity. Yoda invites us to recognize that we are much more than our physical bodies, much more than our material circumstances, much more than the labels the world puts on us. When you identify only with what is visible, your appearance, your social standing, your possessions, you drastically limit yourself. You are a being of infinite possibilities, of creativity, of love, of wisdom. You are self-aware light, energy that thinks, feels, and creates. This radically changes how you face challenges. Instead of thinking, I can't, or I don't have the resources, you start thinking, what potential can I awaken, and what possibilities can I create? Your problems don't disappear, but your ability to handle them expands exponentially. Practice seeing yourself and others through this lens. When someone annoys you, remember there's a light behind the behavior you're seeing. When you feel limited, connect with the vastness of who you truly are. You're not just someone going through life, you're conscious life experiencing itself. Lesson 5. Difficult to see, always in motion, is the future. Obsessing over controlling the future is one of the biggest sources of anxiety and suffering in our lives. This lesson isn't an invitation to irresponsibility, but rather a wisdom to focus your energy where it can truly make a difference, in the present. You can make plans, you can make wise decisions, you can plant seeds, but you can't control all the factors that will influence the outcome. What you can control is the quality of your presence in this moment. You can control how you respond to situations that arise. You can control the intention and love you put into your actions. You can control how you prepare for the possibilities you see ahead. When you stop spending energy trying to control the uncontrollable, you unleash an immense amount of power to creatively deal with what's actually in your hands. Live with purpose, but keep your hands open to what life wants to offer you. Lesson 6. You can teach, but you must learn. This distinction is fundamental to any personal growth process. True learning requires active participation, practice, lived experience. In your life, this means taking full responsibility for your development. You can have the best teachers, the best books, the best courses, but if you don't actively engage in the learning process, if you don't practice, if you don't apply, if you don't reflect, nothing will really change. Notice the difference between consuming information and truly learning. When you read an inspiring book, do you simply consume the ideas, or do you pause to reflect on how to apply them? When someone gives you valuable advice, do you just mentally agree, or do you take concrete steps? True learning is an act of courage, because it requires you to step outside your comfort zone, to question your beliefs, to experiment with new ways of being and doing. No one can do this journey for you, but you don't have to do it alone. Lesson 7. When 900 years you reach, look as good you will not. Behind this seemingly humorous phrase is a profound lesson about accepting the natural phases of life and not judging by appearances. Our society is obsessed with youth, with looks, with maintaining a facade of perfection. This lesson invites us to value substance over surface, wisdom over appearance, experience over inexperienced energy. This doesn't mean neglecting your body or your health, but rather understanding that your worth as a person doesn't diminish with age or the marks that life leaves on you. Each phase of life has its own unique gifts. Youth has energy and possibilities. Maturity has wisdom and perspective. Apply this lesson by stopping judging yourself so harshly. Stop thinking you need to look perfect to be valuable. Stop dismissing the wisdom of older people just because of their appearance. Stop fearing aging as if it were a curse instead of an opportunity for continuous growth. Lesson 8. Much to learn, you still have. Intellectual humility is one of the hallmarks of true wisdom. This posture of the eternal learner is liberating because it removes the pressure of having to know everything, of having to have all the answers, of having to be perfect. When you accept that there's always more to learn, every experience becomes an opportunity for growth. Cultivate curiosity as a sacred quality. When someone disagrees with you, instead of automatically defending yourself, ask yourself, what can I learn from this different perspective? When you make a mistake, instead of punishing yourself, ask, what lesson is this experience offering me? The person who stops learning stops growing. The person who stops growing starts to die a little each day. Stay alive by staying open to the infinite learning possibilities each day offers. Lesson 9. Anger, fear, aggression. The dark side are they. Anger, fear, and aggression aren't necessarily bad in themselves, but they can become portals to attitudes and behaviors that take us away from our best selves. Anger can be a signal that something important to you is being threatened. Fear can be a warning system that keeps you safe, but when these emotions become dominant, when they begin to drive your decisions and actions, they can destroy relationships, opportunities, and your own inner peace. Wisdom lies not in suppressing these emotions, but in developing the ability to observe them clearly, understand their message, and consciously choose how to respond. When you feel anger, pause and ask, what is this emotion trying to tell me? Instead of reacting automatically, respond consciously. Develop healthy practices to process these emotions: meditation, exercise, talking to trusted people, reflective writing. The goal isn't to become an emotionless robot, but a human being who can feel deeply without being overwhelmed by their feelings. Lesson 10. You must question what is possible. How many times have you said, "That's impossible," before even exploring the possibilities? Yoda challenges us to question our own limitations, to expand our understanding of what's possible in our lives. Many things we consider impossible are merely improbable or challenging. Many of our limitations are learned, not inherent. Many of our impossibilities exist only in our minds. This doesn't mean living in fantasy or ignoring practical reality. It's about expanding your definition of reality to include possibilities you haven't yet considered. It's about being curious about what can be achieved when you apply creativity, persistence, and resources intelligently. Start small. Identify something you've always assumed was impossible for you, and question that belief. Research people who have accomplished similar things. Break the impossible into smaller, more manageable steps. Often, what seems impossible is just a series of possible things that need to be arranged correctly. Lesson 11. Free of doubt. Your mind must be. Doubt can be a useful tool for critical analysis, but when it becomes a dominant mental state, it paralyzes action and blocks potential. Yoda teaches us that to manifest something meaningful in our lives, we need a clear and focused mind. This doesn't mean arrogance or a lack of critical thinking. It's about distinguishing between constructive doubt, which helps us make better choices, and destructive doubt, which prevents us from acting. Constructive doubt asks, how can I do this better? Destructive doubt asks, will I be able to do this? When making an important decision, it's natural to weigh pros and cons, consider different perspectives. But once you've made the decision, commit fully to it. Don't waste energy constantly questioning yourself or sabotaging yourself with endless what-ifs. Cultivate confidence through action. Each small success strengthens your ability to believe in yourself. Every time you keep a commitment to yourself, you build a solid foundation of self-trust that can support bigger decisions and actions. Lesson 12. Feel the force around you. You must. The force in Yoda's philosophy is the energy that connects all things. In real life, we can interpret this as the awareness that we are part of something bigger, that we are interconnected with all. Life, this awareness profoundly changes how you relate to the world. Instead of feeling isolated and alone, you begin to realize that you are part of a complex web of relationships and influences. Your actions affect others. The actions of others affect you. You are not an island, but part of an ocean. Practice developing this sensitivity. When you enter an environment, observe the energy of the people around you. When you're in nature, feel your connection to the natural world. When you interact with someone, notice how your energy and attitude influence the interaction. This awareness brings both responsibility and power. You become more mindful of the energy you put into the world, knowing that it spreads and returns. At the same time, you can learn to access resources and insights that go beyond your individual mind. Lesson 13. Powerful is the dark side, but more powerful than the force it is not. We all have dark aspects to our personality, destructive impulses, negative thoughts, tendencies towards selfishness. Yoda acknowledges that these aspects can be powerful and seductive, but reminds us that we don't have to be controlled by them. The dark side in real life can be anything that pulls us away from our best selves: addictions, negative thought patterns, toxic relationships, self-destructive habits. These aspects can exert a strong pull because they often offer immediate gratification or an escape from responsibility. But you have access to something more powerful: your capacity for conscious choice, your potential for love, your ability to create and contribute positively. When you connect with these higher aspects of who you are, you find strength to resist destructive temptations. The battle isn't between you and some external enemy, but between different aspects of who you are. Acknowledge your dark impulses without fully identifying with them. Consciously nurture the aspects of yourself that you want to see grow. Lesson 14. Adventure, excitement. A Jedi seeks not these things. This lesson might seem discouraging at first, but Yoda is teaching us about the difference between seeking experiences to fill an inner void and living a life of genuine purpose. Often, we seek adventure and excitement as a form of escape or to feel alive. There's nothing wrong with adventure or excitement, but when they become the primary source of meaning in our lives, they can make us dependent on external stimulation to feel good. Yoda invites us to find a deeper source of satisfaction: purpose, service, personal growth, love. These things may not always be exciting in the superficial sense, but they offer a more sustainable and lasting form of fulfillment. This doesn't mean living a colorless or joyless life. It means finding joy in simple things, finding adventure in personal growth, finding excitement in the process of becoming who you truly are. A life lived with purpose has its own rhythms and its own rewards. Lesson 15. Careful what you wish for you shall surely get it. Our desires are powerful forces that shape our reality. Yoda cautions us about the importance of being mindful about what we truly want, because the energy we put into our desires tends to manifest in some way. We often desire things superficially without considering the full implications. We want success but don't consider the cost in time and energy. We want a relationship but don't reflect on our capacity for genuine love. We want change but resist the discomfort that change always brings. Before fully committing to a desire, explore it deeply. Ask yourself, why do I want this? How will my life change if I achieve this? Am I prepared for the responsibilities that come with it? Is this desire aligned with my deepest values? Use your desires as tools of self-discovery. They reveal much about your values, your fears, your unmet needs. When you understand the energy behind your desires, you can direct it more consciously and effectively. Lesson 16. In motion the force is, but to understand it still you must be. Paradoxically, to understand the constant motion of life, we need to find moments of stillness. Yoda teaches us that wisdom arises not from constant activity, but from the ability to stop, observe, and reflect. We live in a culture that values constant motion, incessant productivity, always being busy. But many of our best insights, our best decisions, our best ideas arise when we stop doing and start simply being. Create regular spaces of stillness in your life. It could be formal meditation. It could be simply sitting in silence for a few minutes each day. It could be walking in nature without music or podcasts. In these moments of stillness, you can hear your inner wisdom. You can observe patterns in your life that go unnoticed in the daily rush. Stillness is not inactivity. It is a state of alert receptivity, of deep listening, of complete presence. It is in this state that you can perceive the opportunities that arise, the changes that need to be made, the directions you want to take. Lesson 17. Train yourself to let go of everything you fear to lose. Attachment is one of the main sources of human suffering. When we cling too tightly to people, things, situations, or even ideas about how our life should be, we create a constant source of anxiety and resistance to life's natural change. This doesn't mean becoming cold or indifferent. You can love deeply without possessive attachment. You can value your possessions without identifying with them. You can have goals without despairing if they don't manifest exactly as you imagined. Detachment is an act of love, not abandonment. When you love someone without clinging, you allow that person to be authentic. When you work toward a goal without clinging to the specific outcome, you can creatively adapt to changing circumstances. Practice small acts of detachment regularly. Donate things you no longer use, let go of old grudges. Forgive past mistakes, your own and others. Each act of letting go is an exercise in freedom and a step toward inner peace. Lesson 18. Your focus determines your reality. What you consistently focus on becomes your dominant experience of life. If you constantly focus on problems, you live in a world of problems. If you focus on possibilities, you live in a world of opportunities. This is not superficial positive thinking or denial of reality. It's recognizing that you have an active choice about where to direct your attention and that this choice has profound consequences for the quality of your life experience. Observe where you're placing your attention throughout the day. Are you focusing on what's lacking or what's present? Are you focusing on what could go wrong or what could go right? Are you focusing on limitations or possibilities? Develop the discipline of consciously redirecting your focus when you notice it's creating unnecessary suffering. This doesn't mean ignoring real problems, but rather not amplifying problems through obsessive focus on them. Lesson 19. Access. The force you must, but control it you cannot. There's an important difference between working with life's energies and trying to control them. Yoda teaches us that we can learn to align ourselves with natural forces, creativity, love, intuition, growth, but we cannot completely control them. Often our approach to life is to try to control every variable, every outcome, every reaction from other people. This is not only impossible, but also extremely exhausting. It's like trying to dam a river instead of learning to navigate it. Wisdom lies in learning to work with the available energies, not against them. When you're creating something, you can put in effort and dedication, but you also need to allow inspiration to flow. When you're relating to someone, you can express love and care, but you can't control how that person will respond. This approach requires humility and flexibility. You do your part to the best of your ability and then remain open to what emerges. Often the outcome is better than anything you could have controlled. Lesson 20. Size matters not. Judge me by my size, do you? Our perceived limitations are often far smaller than our actual limitations. Yoda teaches us that we shouldn't underestimate ourselves based on outward appearances or circumstances that seem unfavorable. How many times have you disqualified yourself from an opportunity before even trying, assuming you didn't have the right qualifications? How many times have you diminished your ambitions because you thought you didn't have enough resources? History is full of people who achieved extraordinary things despite starting with what seemed like disadvantages. What they had in common wasn't physical size, financial resources, or apparent advantages, but rather determination, creativity, and a refusal to accept superficial limitations. Examine your own assumptions about your limitations. How many of them are based on real evidence and how many are based on fears or superficial comparisons? You may be bigger than you imagine, more capable than you assume, more powerful than you believe. Lesson 21. Death is a natural part of life. Acceptance of mortality is paradoxically one of the keys to living fully. When you accept that your life is finite, each moment becomes more precious, each opportunity more significant, each relationship more valuable. Many people live as if they were immortal, constantly postponing the things that truly matter. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll express that feeling later. I'll pursue that dream when I have more time. But the truth is that time is limited. And that limitation is what gives urgency and meaning to our choices. This isn't a morbid message, but a call to a full life. When you accept impermanence, you stop wasting energy on trivial things and focus on what truly matters. You stop postponing happiness and start creating it now. Practice living with this awareness, not in an anxious or desperate way, but with a deep appreciation for the precious opportunity that is being alive. Each day is a gift, each moment a possibility, each breath a blessing. Lesson 22. Always two there are, a master and an apprentice. This teaching and learning dynamic is fundamental to continuous growth. Yoda shows us that we are all simultaneously masters and apprentices, regardless of our age or experience. You always have something to teach someone, even if it's only your unique life experience, and you always have something to learn from someone, even if it's from someone much younger or less experienced in certain areas. This perspective keeps you humble and open. When you see yourself as an eternal learner, you don't need the pressure of knowing everything or being perfect. When you see yourself as a potential master, you recognize that your life and your experiences have value and can contribute to the growth of others. Actively seek opportunities to teach and learn. Mentor someone in an area where you have knowledge. Seek mentors in areas where you want to grow. Remember that sometimes the best teachings come from unexpected places. Lesson 23. Control your anger you must, or it will control you. Anger is a powerful emotion that can be both destructive and constructive, depending on how you manage it. Yoda teaches us that uncontrolled anger can become a tyrannical master that drives our actions destructively. When you are angry, you are in a state of heightened power but also diminished judgment. In this state, it's easy to say things you'll regret, make rash decisions, or damage important relationships. Controlling anger doesn't mean suppressing it completely. It means developing the ability to feel anger without being completely overtaken by it. It means creating space between feeling and action, where you can consciously choose how to respond. When you feel anger rising, practice pausing. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself, what is this anger trying to tell me? Often, anger is a signal that something important to you is being threatened or disrespected. Use that information constructively instead of simply exploding. Develop healthy outlets for processing and expressing anger: physical exercise, talking to trusted people, writing, art. The goal isn't to become a person without anger, but a person who can use the energy of anger constructively. Lesson 24. Many of the truths we cling to depend greatly on our own point of view. Reality is far more complex and multifaceted than we generally acknowledge. Yoda teaches us that our truths are often limited perspectives that we assume to be absolute. This lesson is an invitation to intellectual humility and open-mindedness. When you cling too rigidly to your opinions and beliefs, you close yourself off to new information and perspectives that could enrich your understanding. This doesn't mean total relativism or the idea that there are no objective truths. It means recognizing that your perspective is one among many possible ones, and that other people may have valid insights that you haven't considered. Practice genuine curiosity about perspectives different from your own. When someone disagrees with you, instead of immediately defending yourself, ask, "Help me understand your point of view." You may not change your mind, but you will certainly expand your understanding. This open-mindedness is not weakness, it is wisdom. The wisest people are those who can hold on to their convictions while remaining open to continuous learning. Lesson 25. Abandon you must not those who depend on you. Responsibility and commitment are fundamental pillars of a life of integrity. Yoda reminds us that our actions affect other people and that we have moral obligations to those who rely on us. This lesson goes far beyond obvious commitments like family and work. It extends to all situations where your word, your presence, or your contribution are expected and needed. When you say you'll do something, when you assume a responsibility, when someone trusts you, you create a sacred commitment. This doesn't mean sacrificing yourself indefinitely or accepting abuse. It means being a person of your word, someone others can rely on. It means thinking carefully before making commitments, and then honoring them to the best of your ability. Examine your current responsibilities. Are you honoring your commitments? Are there people who are counting on you that you may be disappointing? Is there any area where you need to have an honest conversation about your limitations? Trust is built slowly through small, consistent acts of reliability and can be destroyed quickly. through abandonment or neglect. Lesson 26. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. Constant rushing is one of the most destructive characteristics of modern life. Yoda teaches us that when we are always rushing, always trying to accelerate natural processes, we create a state of anxiety that contaminates everything we do. When you are in a hurry, you are not truly present. You are constantly focused on the next moment, the next task, the next goal. This not only diminishes the quality of your present experience, but also reduces your effectiveness because you aren't fully engaged in what you're doing now. Haste also leads to rash decisions, avoidable mistakes, and poor communication. When you're rushing, you don't have time to properly consider options, to truly listen to people, to do things with the necessary care. Practice consciously slowing down. Even when you have a lot to do, you can do each thing with full presence and attention. Often when you slow down and focus completely on the task at hand, you complete it more quickly and with better quality than if you were rushing around distractedly. Lesson 27. Remember, focus determines reality, but accept what you cannot control you must. This lesson combines two seemingly contradictory wisdoms, the power of conscious focus and the necessity of acceptance. Yoda teaches us that we can influence our reality through where we place our attention, but we must also gracefully accept those aspects of life that are beyond our control. The art lies in distinguishing between what you can influence and what you cannot. You can control your thoughts, your actions, your reactions, your choices. You cannot control other people's actions, external events, or many of the circumstances that arise in your life. When you expend energy trying to control the uncontrollable, you exhaust yourself and become unnecessarily frustrated. When you focus your energy on what you can truly influence, you become far more effective and far less stressed. Develop the wisdom of serenity, the ability to accept what you cannot change, the courage to change what you can, and the wisdom to discern the difference. This is one of the most liberating practices you can cultivate. Lesson 28. Forgive you must, but forget you need not. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as a sign of weakness or a denial of reality. Yoda teaches a more nuanced approach. Forgiveness is essential for your own inner peace, but remembering the lessons learned is practical wisdom. Forgiving doesn't mean accepting unacceptable behavior or allowing someone to continue hurting you. It means releasing the poison of resentment that's poisoning your own life. When you refuse to forgive, you maintain a toxic connection with the person or situation that hurt you. At the same time, remembering past experiences and learning from them is emotional intelligence. You can forgive someone who betrayed you and still choose not to trust that person again. You can forgive a mistake and still take steps to prevent it from happening again. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It frees up mental and emotional energy that was being spent maintaining anger and resentment. This released energy can then be directed towards creating positive things in your life. Lesson 29. Strong with the force you are, but not strong enough to resist temptation. Even the wisest and most developed individuals have moments of weakness and face temptations. Yoda teaches us humility in acknowledging that we all have limits and vulnerabilities. This lesson is important because it protects us from spiritual arrogance, the idea that because we've developed certain qualities or insights, we are beyond basic human temptations and weaknesses. This arrogance is dangerous because it leaves us unguarded precisely when we need vigilance most. Recognize your areas of vulnerability. Perhaps you're tempted by procrastination when facing difficult tasks. Perhaps you're tempted by anger when you feel disrespected. Perhaps you're tempted by despair when things don't go as planned. Once you recognize your temptation patterns, you can create structures and strategies to deal with them. This might include support systems, preventative practices, or simply greater awareness when you're in risky situations. Wisdom isn't in never feeling temptation, but in recognizing it quickly and having tools to deal with it constructively. Lesson 30. Luminous beings are we. Death is only a transition. The final lesson brings us back to the recognition of our deepest nature. Yoda teaches us that we are far more than our physical bodies, far more than our temporary circumstances. We are consciousness, we are light, we are creative energy manifested in physical form. This perspective completely transforms how you live. When you recognize that your essence is indestructible, you can face challenges with greater courage. When you understand that you are part of something infinite and eternal, your temporary problems assume proper perspective. This doesn't diminish the importance of your current life or your present responsibilities. On the contrary, recognizing your luminous nature brings more meaning and purpose to each moment. You're not just passing time, you're expressing conscious light through your actions, words, and presence. Live as the luminous being you are. Let your light shine through kindness, wisdom, creativity, love. Recognize the light in others, even when it's temporarily obscured by fear, anger, or confusion. Your life is a precious opportunity to bring more light into a world that often seems dark. Transforming conclusion. We've reached the end of this extraordinary journey through Yoda's wisdom, but in truth we're only at the beginning of something much greater. Each of these 30 lessons is like a seed that has been planted in your consciousness. What happens now depends entirely on you. The true magic isn't in simply knowing these teachings, but in living them. It's not in being inspired for a few minutes, but in allowing that inspiration to transform into consistent action. It's not in admiring Yoda's wisdom, but in awakening the wisdom that already exists within you. You've discovered today that you have access to an inexhaustible source of inner strength, that you can consciously choose how you respond to life's challenges, that you can live with purpose, love, and wisdom, regardless of external circumstances, that you are far more powerful and luminous than you may have imagined. But remember, knowing the path and walking the path are entirely different things. Yoda can't live your life for you. No one can take this journey for you. But you don't have to do it alone. The same force that guided Yoda is available to you. The same wisdom he demonstrated can be awakened in your own life. Start today. Choose one lesson that resonated with you most, and find a practical way to apply it to your daily life. Maybe it's practicing patience in a specific situation. Maybe it's questioning a limitation you've always assumed to be real. Maybe it's simply remembering to pause before reacting when you feel anger. Small, consistent actions create extraordinary transformations. Each mindful moment is a step toward mastery. Each loving choice is a victory over fear. Each act of wisdom is a light you ignite not only for yourself, but for everyone around you. If this video awakened something in you, if these lessons touched your heart in some way, share that light with others. Leave a comment about which lesson impacted you most and how you intend to apply it. Share this video with someone who could benefit from this wisdom. Subscribe to the channel to continue this journey of awakening and growth. Remember, you are not just someone who watches videos about wisdom. You are self-aware wisdom, learning to express yourself through your unique and precious life. You are the force in action, light in motion, love in manifestation. May the force be with you, not as something external you hope to receive, but as what you already are and always have been. May you live each day with Yoda's wisdom, but more importantly, may you awaken the unique wisdom only you can offer the world. The journey continues, the next step is yours.